we disappear into one part of that. Do we need more bread?
We're so thankful for your partnership with Ames. You guys as individuals have adopted a people group, and then and I was just talking with David about that the other day, and man, it's in a really tough part of the world. But your adoption in a partnership with other people who you don't even know is helping to send a native missionary into a very tough country that's closed to the gospel, but he's seeing fruit, and a church has been planted. And now in the last 3 months, the border's been closed, but the cool thing is I was able to share with David the story that he's sharing the gospel online with people. He said many of the people are becoming angry at him and insulting him, but he's enduring it, and you're a part of that. So I'm just thankful for your personal participation, but also Church for All Nations. You guys are leaders at Church for All Nations, and you've been getting Ames to where we are right now, through partnership and helping with our staffing and, just general stuff that requires prayer and partnership and resource. So you've been a big part of it. So I wanted to ask you, as individuals, why would you guys adopt a people group and partner with Ames?
When I was in my late teens, there was a man, I was going through some challenges in my life, or what I thought were challenges. And there was this guy at the church that pulled me aside and he said, "David, how do you eat an elephant?" He said, and I just I don't know.
I never ate one before.
I never ate an elephant and didn't want to taste one. But he said, you just eat it one bite at a time. And that's what I appreciate about what Ames is doing. You're breaking things down into bite-sized chunks. I think people are also looking for trustworthy individuals.
Yes.
Like I believe America has a lot of generous people, but they're looking for trustworthy entities to invest their dollars into.
Yes.
People are trustworthy people.
People are looking for trustworthy people.
Resource, and they're giving it to the Lord, but they're handing it over to organizations to
and
steward.
That's a big prayer of
And
ours.
and that's our deal. Is it's not ours, it's God's, and so we take very seriously what we do with that resource.
And another thing I really I like getting those little updates from the missionary that's over there, and when they send updates, and I've reached this many people, I'm in contact with so and so, and we're working on putting this thing together, and it's great to get. It makes it feel real and personal, not versus I'm just going to give my money to this organization and I hope it makes to where they say it's going.
Oh, and I love ROI. It came out of a business background.
Yeah.
So I know in business, if we gave $60 billion to something in 1 year, you better see a return on it, or you're not going to give $60 billion next year, right? But last year $60 billion was given to missions worldwide.
Wow.
And we see there are more unreached people this year than there were last year. What does that tell us? Our giving is not seeing the return it should. And so globally, the statistics are very high. The cost to see one person come to Christ or even hear of Christ is very high.
Yeah.
One thing I love about this process of mobilizing native missionaries is the cost is not even 1% of the global average. And we're seeing, we've seen 300 churches established this year. And that's a tremendous ROI. Wow. So the cost per church, if we figure all of the giving and stuff, it's like $1,600 per church.
That's amazing. To
see a church established in an unreached area where there was no church before. That's the best $1,600 you could spend. You know what I mean? And when I was in Bible school, I heard the story, and everybody's heard it, but it's about, this is a true story. There was a flood. There was a weird tide, and it washed all these starships up onto the shore.
Yeah.
Starfish.
And the starfish.
And
did I say starfish?
Also. Starships.
Oh. Yeah, it washed all the starfish up onto the shore. And the little boy this man sees this little boy frantically running and grabbing one and throwing it back in and grabbing another, throwing it back in. And the man says, "Son, there's millions of these starfish out here. What are you doing? It's not going to make a difference. There's no way you could get these millions back in the ocean." He says, the little boy looked at him, he grabs one starfish and he throws it and he says, "I made a difference to that one."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we got 3 billion people to reach.
Yeah.
We've got 7,000 unreached groups to reach. But man, 300 churches, I'm like, that's a lot of starfish,
Yeah,
you know.
that's right.
Made a difference
That's
to
right.
thousands of people this year. And those thousands of people are going to witness to their families. It's going to multiply. We'll see movements. And we're going to see millions and billions of people know the love of God because of it.
Absolutely.
So I love that idea, you know, and I want to be that little boy, man.
That's right.
Just frantically throwing them back in, you
Yeah,
know.
totally.
Lord, it might not be a lot, but it's what I can do, you
I
know.
can't
and-
do everything, but I'm going to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Love it.
But I'm thinking about you're an event expertise lady, event planner, and like how gifted you are at throwing parties and throwing events and all of that. I mean, CFAN does that amazing. You're kind of the girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
But just picture, like if you were throwing a huge party for everybody, it would be perfect. There would definitely be balloons everywhere.
Everywhere.
There would be place cards. There would be,
Yeah.
you know, things that were special to that individual who would be sitting there.
Some spinach artichoke dip, probably.
Yes. Well, there's always spinach artichoke
And
dip.
banana bread.
But really, there would be, you would know, you had invited
Yes.
everybody, and then you're just
Intentionality.
like wondering, why aren't they here yet? Why? Look at all these empty seats. Why aren't they here? And then we were to say, well, Hannah, no one told them. No one gave them an invitation yet. They don't know that they've been invited to your party. And that's kind of the vision behind this series is like, Jesus has this huge table and he's prepared it and he's been intentional and he has every person on his mind. He's invited them to come. And then there's all these empty seats. And those are the unreached people and they don't have access. No one's told them that they have an invitation yet. No one's told them you're invited to come sit at the table. And so that is what we're so passionate about doing and what we love about CFAN. We hear it from the pulpit week after week about unreached people. Like you always hear it. Even if it's in an offering message or in the message, we hear you guys have that passion too. But we have to get Native missionaries going to these unreached people so that the unreached know that they have been invited
Yeah.
to the party, to the banquet, to the table. But it is happening.
It is.
It's
yeah.
happening. There's how many Native missionaries have gone out this year?
192 Native missionaries.
Just through our, and we know God's doing things all over the world.
That's
but-
just, yeah.
Yeah.
And
I just want to share something really quick because I think there's a lot of ministries that actually need more understanding of what an unreached people group is.
Yeah.
Like honestly, I grew up in the church and that's a newer term.
it's like insider language.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I'm
so-
thankful for people like Dr. Howard because he's brilliant with that kind of stuff. I
Yeah.
think he's one of the people that has educated us on
Yeah.
what an unreached people group is. Because a lot of times ministries, they put focus in different areas around the world, but like we were putting focus in certain sectors of the world and they're very reached already. There's a lot of churches that have already gone in, ministries that have already been planted. And then we forget about, like, there's this big map behind you. There's so many places where even if somebody wanted to hear the gospel, the chances of them finding somebody is like almost zero.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I never woke up one morning and I was like, hey, I need someone to tell me about Jesus. So like they don't seek that out. They might be seeking the truth, but they don't find him until there's a gospel messenger. Romans chapter 10 says, I was found by them who sought me not, right? But right before that it says, how can they hear? How can they believe on whom they've not heard? And how can they hear unless someone tell them? And how can someone tell them unless there be a preacher? And how can there be a preacher unless that he be sent, right? And so they'll find Jesus when they weren't seeking him, but how? By sending someone to share with them.
Yeah.
And that's why it says the feet of those that go and bring the gospel is their feet are beautiful. So yeah, those people are desiring God. There's a place in their heart where they're like, man, I'm hungry. Like, it's like we got this table full of food and they're like, I'm hungry. They don't know where the table is. One man called evangelism, he said evangelism is simply one beggar telling another beggar where to find bread.
Yeah.
So we're like, hey man, I found this table full of bread. Can I show it to you? And unreached people groups though, that you're right, David. It's such an interesting thing. It becomes a very normal part of our language, but the truth is it's not enough of a focus. And so when we look at the reality of the unreached, there's 7,000 unreached ethnic groups in the world. That means they have no access. That's 40% of the world's population. and 50,000 people die every day, they never heard the name Jesus.
Yeah.
How do we change it? Those numbers are too big to even
Right.
start. But where it starts is, hey, finishing this, reaching these people begins with me.
Yeah.
And Ames has a way where you can take a bite-sized portion, adopt a people group, help send a native missionary, and let's see this people group's life change. Let's
Right.
see
Yeah.
their society change. Let's see
Right.
the gospel penetrate their world.
Well, and along with what you're saying, and then what that scene you were describing, Bevan, I think that's the way that people start to learn about their invitation to the table, is as more people gain an understanding of what you just shared, Josh, then we're equipped to then go from there. Because like I said earlier, if I'm just here in America and I don't have that knowledge, it's hard to connect with that understanding. Even in adopting a people group, getting information on them specifically, and not just saying, well, our giving is going to them, but now we can specifically pray for them. We can pray for that native missionary that's being sent to them, and we can also have that information on what is an unreached people group, and be ready to share that with other people and connect them with you and the steps that they can take to also be involved. And that is what I love when I think about a party and I think about inviting people to that, or I need other people to help me invite other people to that table, which that's what this is about. It's not just one organization trying to accomplish this big thing.
Yeah.
It's saying you're invited to be a part of this, and without you, it likely won't be accomplished.
Yeah.
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 And not only do we need you to invite people, we need you at that table as well, because
Yes.
you're going to be a vital part of saying this has been accomplished to the glory of God. And I think as local church leaders, when we
Nailed
think
it.
about communities of believers, and from a leadership perspective, CFAN's a very generous house, and so the responsibility we then have is where does that seed need to be sown as well? Because Pastor Mark and Linda, that's always been their heart is missions and strategic missions giving and prayer associated with that as well. And so as we've partnered with Ames, and we've gotten to invite people into that on a grand scale, but it's not just this far off thing again. Like, it has to be distilled down into the simple bite size. You can run with this, and you truly can understand that vision. I think for us, when we're looking at that endless list of here's good things that you could give to, what's the difference maker in that list of things? And for us with Ames, it was that we know that this is a mandate that God's asked us to be a part of in reaching the unreached, and those that haven't heard, and that those that still need to hear.
Yeah.
And that's a wrap.
Is that good? The success of this program rises and falls on what you said.
So that was really good.
Well,
These
good
are real
insights.
conversations we have.
Yeah.